Mm-hmm. Everything all right, girls?
Yeah.
I'm not worried. Yeah. Yes, I am. I got a flying theorist. I'm in the McDonald's diner. But contrary to a funny person, I am not in the McDonald's. Oh, you're here. Okay. Here you are.
How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good, man. Just kind of enjoying the day off, the weekend, and yeah.
Yeah, I've got a day off, but I don't. I mean, like in terms of work, I have the day off, but I still had kickboxing in the morning, and I'm preparing for a debate Monday morning, today and tomorrow yet. So I got a debate Monday morning, so it's in the morning because the dude I'm debating is in the Philippines, which is like 12 hours ahead of us. So
Oh yeah.
so I'm just trying to take into consideration time zone change. are different.
What's the debate on? Or what's the platform?
It's the platform. It's going to be a debate, Protestant versus Catholicism debate.
Yeah, so my mom's a devout Catholic, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of found out. I don't know. Just at an early age, it's funny because I am of the opinion that even if Christianity was absolutely true, everything, the book verbatim,
okay,
you would want non-believers because it's the challenging, it's the studying, it's the understanding of the natural world that has advanced society so much. And it's like, it's what God would want if he was real. God would want you to understand his creation. And I think I
totally agree. I couldn't agree more. God definitely wants you to understand his creation.
Yeah,
and that we are, and that we are definitely in 100% alignment and agreement with.
Yeah, and I'm of the opinion that, see, the funny thing is, like, I mean, I would never my mom's a Catholic, and I talked to her about religion, and she knows that our whole family.
But there's a lot of Catholics that believe in evolution too, right?
I'm not from what I mean. Generally the Catholics I know here are very pretty traditional, very orthodox.
Well, have you heard of a deistic evolution, bud?
What's that now?
Have you heard of deistic evolution?
Oh, sure. Like, so that's where it's like and I've argued that. I've actually argued that because I have some friends who I kind of mentioned that in the text earlier. I have a friend who's very Christian, and I kind of actually presented that to him. I hadn't heard it from a Christian point of view, but I created it on my own. But it's
deistic evolution is basically like God wound up the clock, and then evolution kind of took its course.
But it's also like, it's not like, I kind of came up with that just through a lot of people aren't atheists. I don't really know too many people who are just pure atheists. And if they are, they kind of have a vendetta against something or something. Like most people.
Yeah, it's a vendetta. Anti-theism is religious.
Sure. But I definitely think the most powerful, or the real religion, or the true religion, is science, I think, in my opinion. But the reason why I'm saying this is that it doesn't deny the existence of God. And so, for instance, if for instance, evolution doesn't deny, and it doesn't
evolution. As Jackson, I debated Jackson Wheat on his channel in January, and he said, philosophically, evolution is agnostic. It doesn't say whether or not God exists.
Well, and the thing with evolution is we can see it happening at the cellular level, and it's just there are some things that we don't understand, but that's how science works, but we know that it works because you can sort of see it happening. So it's kind of one of those things. We've literally, I hate to say this, but eugenics and dog breeding, things like that. Those are forms of genetic manipulation, which is just
here's I'm going to say something about evidence and proof. So science is one of many ways to prove something. There's scientific evidence, there's historical evidence, there's induction, there's inference, there's geological evidence, there's geographic evidence.
All that's science. All of that's science, though.
Okay. Well, I mean, usually when people let me.
So science is not some sort of science. Let me orthodox.
Let me rephrase. There's many more ways to prove something than just through the scientific method.
No, there's not. The only way to prove anything is to test it and look at it. Can I prove that the stove is hot without scientific method?
No, but historical evidence is not scientific.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. My degree is in history. History needs to be approached more like science than some sort of for instance, history is not true. It is the opinions of people who wrote down. You do not have a camera. So you have the opinions. Everyone who's written anything in history, everything we have in history back before. But
you can't honestly believe that everything that's ever been written is an opinion, and only an opinion.
It absolutely is, because everything is biased. So if you're getting everything's biased. So, for instance, if you're studying the
Roman Empire, how do you know that everything is biased? You're just making a claim. How can you back that up?
If we have history, it's usually written Or
Right.
well, there's archaeology or or anthropology, which is not necessarily history. That's the study. That's another science where you're studying
Right.
the actual physical remnants of the past.
Okay.
History, for the most part, is deducing what happened through the viewpoints of people who wrote it down.
Right.
And so, how can you ever think that's true?
No, I'm not saying everything that's written down is true, but I think it's.
But no,
I think it's fallacious to rule something out just because it was written down.
No, because if you were in the same neighborhood as me and you described yesterday, we both differ in our opinions.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's not necessarily that one is right and the other is wrong. It could be complementary. Let's say, for example, today I'm in Hamilton. It's a beautiful sunny day, right?
Yeah.
And I say it's a beautiful sunny day. There's not a cloud in the sky, and you say it's dry and there's no rain. We're not, nothing we've said is contrary, but we just said different things describing the same day.
No, yeah, I mean, there's some like record keeping things that's fine, and we can actually probably in many cases.
But I'm saying
in many cases we can use science to back that up. However, if you're taking into account, like say, how a kingdom was founded at some point.
No, but my point is, if I describe the sun and you described and there was no rain, we're not describing something contrary. We're just giving different details that are actually complementary to what the other person is saying. Is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, sure.
But I'm just saying that's not an opinion though, because you can see actually through the window, you can see sun reflected on the background behind.
Right, but maybe I wrote my memoir in the morning when the sun was out, and you wrote your memoir in the afternoon when the clouds were covered in. Have people distorted history? Have people ripped it apart and made it whatever they want? Of course, there are some people who've done that. But I'm thinking about, like, what is history? Like, how do historians learn?
Okay, well, let me give you an example.
No, I'm serious. No, how do we research history? How did I get my degree?
By research, time, and effort.
Reading tons of books, though.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's research.
But those books are written by people, and every single person is fallible. Every single person has some sort of bias, whether they like it or not. You can't help it. And many times you're writing off of prior research. So you're researching someone who's researched someone, and then the entire point is to cross-reference things until you sort of deduce as best you can what was happening. But you can't ever say with absolute certainty. Like, for instance,
do we have absolute certainty about anything? Do you need to be absolutely certain of everything in order to make conclusions about the natural world?
Well, in science, in the natural world, you can.
No, I'm not asking about science and the natural world. I'm saying, do you need to know anything 100% in order to make, in order to know something that happened?
I think that's an inaccurate, or it's just not possible. It's unnecessary, first of all, and it's putting.
Well, it's not even necessary. It's not even. It's not possible.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
No one can live their life with 100% certainty about anything. That's my point.
Yeah, like there's so many movies, so many stories about the Roman Empire. Nobody has any idea how actual Roman combat occurred. We know how the maniples moved. We know how the legions deployed. Like, we can't really deduce it because there's no humans now who can just go out and recreate that shit. So there's little things like that we'll never fully understand.
Here's my proposition to you, bud. You can know things that you can't prove.
Well, you shouldn't know them.
No, you can't. I'm not saying I'm not saying you can't have any kind of evidentiary line to it, but I'm saying
you can have a good idea.
You can know things that you cannot scientifically prove.
You sort of can. I mean, what you can is you can have a good enough approximation of what happened, which would give
here's what I want to suggest about historical evidence. Like you mentioned the word cross-reference, and that's what I was going to say. One of the best evidences we have,
that's the most important tactic for you. That's the tool. That's what we use as historians. Or no, I'm not a historian. That's a very arrogant thing to say. I don't think anyone's a historian, really. We're all just fans of history who work to understand the best we can.
Okay, so my proposition is that when you take several different texts and you cross-reference them, and you see there's a commonality of corroboration between the different texts, I think that's a good way of coming to the conclusion that it was several different people saying the same things in different words. That, in my mind, is historical evidence. And I think
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think and if you have enough of that going on, you can say there's got to be something to what's being said here.
But you should never be sure, because it's still, there's a little, and honestly, there is no, I mean, even as recently as World War II, like for instance, like we have like 16, the Battle of Kursk was the largest tank battle of all time. No one had cameras. It was such a battle that like there just wasn't like a thing. Like
Yeah,
no one
but
had time.
we didn't.
No one had time. But
we didn't have cameras until like the 1800s, though, didn't we?
What's that?
We didn't have cameras until like the late 18, early 1900s.
Oh no, I think it was more like 1905. Like I mean, people had cameras.
Anyway, so it was around the start of the 20th century.
I'm talking about motion picture, like like film, yeah, like propaganda, yada yada yada. There is virtually nothing recorded from the biggest battle of all time. And the funny thing about it is, like, people were traumatized, and there's still, even in that battle, there's a little bit of discrepancies between everyone, and it's kind of hard to piece everything together. So we never really fully can claim with a surety that, like, okay, this is exactly how it happened. But that's too much to ask, and why would we need that anyways? It's best, it's good enough, and it's enough to just understand. You don't need to know, you have to understand.
That's true. You can understand. My point is, we can know things that we can't know scientifically. We can know things that we cannot know for certain. I mean, like you said, we can't know anything for certain.
Yeah.
But you don't need to know everything for certain in order to have a good understanding of the natural world or how to live life.
Right. But knowing is dangerous, because, like for instance, my buddy, when we went on a big road trip, here the geology is really fascinating. And I was trying to explain to him all this cool stuff that, because it's a really fascinating area geologically. And he just kind of was a blank slate, and he was just like, well, I don't believe in any of that. And I was like, what? It's like, so like, he thought it was just created 3,000, 4,000 years ago. And I was like, no, dude, like this area right here is like at least 150,000 years. And this is one of the newest pieces of ground on Earth other than Hawaii and Iceland. And like, literally it is. There's nowhere else on Earth that's this new other than Iceland and Hawaii and a couple spots in Kamchatka. Like it's, or like, little islands that are volcanic. Like it's one of the most volcanic areas in the world. So I was trying to explain to him that this is one of the newest areas, and he was like, how old do you think it is? Well, there's a few lava deposits and stuff that are about 150,000, but it goes down to about 1 million. But then I explained to him at the border where the subduction zone hits the North American plate, it actually goes to about 250, 300 million years. And then it goes even deeper when you're down below that. But that's where you get Jurassic fossils and such. We have no dinosaur fossils in this area because, frankly, it wasn't here. It was, it was a slow, shallow sea that was like eventually pushed into North America. And that is why we have volcanoes, is because it created friction. And that's, Anyways, so, the fact that he just went blank, and he just didn't even, like, for me, it's so fascinating that I could talk for days about how land is formed and how, like, the history of everything. And he just didn't even want to hear it. And it was like, it's all because it was before his idea of any concept of time. And I tried to explain to him, like, 4,000 years is, first of all, 4,000 years is nothing. Like, we have humans that were 4,000 years ago, like the Bronze Age was.
Hey, bud, I gotta wrap this up because I got a bunch of stuff I gotta do tonight. But what do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, my family owns a bunch of restaurants, but I don't do that anymore. I frankly,
are you retired?
What's that?
Are you retired?
No. I sell insurance right now, but it's kind of just a side.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
What are you? I mean, besides this kind of stuff, what are your side passions other than this stuff?
Snow skiing. I hike. I do a lot of, like, what do you call it? Like, kind of survivalist stuff up in the woods. I'm really. Cool. I live in a very.
You do that by yourself or with buddies?
I have a buddy that I do. He's really good with plants, and I'm really good at, like, kind of he's the gatherer, I'm the hunter.
Okay, so that's a good relationship that works on reciprocity and.
Yeah, I mean, basically what we do is we go up the mountain for about 10 days. Yeah. I just like hiking in general. I love the outdoors. I love the wilderness. But what we do every summer is we'll do a trip for about 10 days where we try to live completely off the land. It's hard. We bring MREs as backup. And we always bring coffee and, a little bit of whiskey. And but like,
how long have you been watching my channel? Out of curiosity, or my Twitter or YouTube or both?
What's that?
How long you been following my Twitter account? Like, and just here or there or everywhere. How long have you known about my Twitter account?
Yesterday.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So so you may or may not know but one of my passions outside of like apologetics is mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
So like I train in kickboxing, karate, and jiu-jitsu. I gotta stop hitting.
I'm 39. I'm 39, but in my 20s, we used to scuffle a bit. We were kind of like one of the more fight happy parts of the company.
So,
like
yeah,
it never worked though. It never worked. Every time I fought a guy who was heavily trained, it doesn't last long enough in the real world.
Are you saying technical training doesn't work, or
it's just not in a bar setting? Because like usually they would like it would be like a standoff, and then like they were. I never started. I never instigated, but I was more usually defending a friend or something. And the heavily trained.
Yeah, the thing is, like a lot of people think like, oh, the things you learn in a dojo would never work in the street, and like.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
yeah, they do. I've done stuff that I've learned in a dojo on a street. Like, I'm not saying you. I'm saying to the people that say that.
I've really lost.
To the morons that say the things you learn in a dojo don't translate to what would work in the street. I'm telling you, as a martial artist, the things I've learned in the dojo do work in the street because I've used them in the street, and they've always got me on the upper hand of the situation.
Right, but it rarely lasts. The main contact rarely lasts more than 30 seconds or a minute. And
well, the thing is, in a street, that's the point of a street fight. You want to end it fast.
But generally, and I've almost never lost. And the times I've lost was with friends.
Yeah,
that we were just drunk and
Yeah.
And
that's usually how a fight. Most fights between guys start is someone's being a drunk idiot.
Well, yeah, exactly.
He's a drunk and then becomes an idiot.
Right.
Or is an idiot that got drunk and then became a bigger idiot.
But I mean, the reason why I always won was I just you go 100% fast and like you just go in and you attack and no one usually is ready for it. And so like you just if they're the ones instigating, then you just
most people
you warn them. You tell them that you don't want to fight, but if they keep pushing, you crack them, and usually it only takes 1 or 2 punches.
Oh yeah. Most fights are, like you said, 30 seconds is actually a long street fight. Most street fights are done in 10, 15 seconds most.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got to go, man, but it's been a slice. I'm going to end the stream now.
No, you're welcome to talk about that.
Yeah, I just got some stuff I got to do.
No, you're fine.
All right. Peace out, man.
Cheers.